Today's episode is about the proof. The living, breathing, walking proof that genetics does not dictate your future. We're sharing real-life case studies of people who were told it's just your genes and chose to prove the experts wrong. From athletes in their 80s to individuals who reversed disease predictions, these stories blow the lid off the genetics excuse and show just how powerful your actions really are. You don't have to be a statistic. You can be a case study. All today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast
with Garrett Williamson.
Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Welcome back to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Garrett Williamson, president of Personal Edge Fitness. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is episode 3 in our genetics series based on my book, The Lie of Age. In episode 1, we broke down the science of genetics and how your DNA is not your destiny. Episode 2, we exposed popular myths, metabolism, memory, and even mood that were once blamed on genetics but have been completely debunked. And we could have been doing that podcast for hours. Today we're making it personal. We're talking about the real world proof, not petri dish theory, not lab mice, not vague studies, but actual people like you, who took control of their bodies and rewrote the so-called script their genes gave them. Case number 1, Ernestine Shepherd, the world's oldest competitive female bodybuilder. All right, let's start strong, literally. Ernestine Shepherd didn't start working out until she was 56 years old. Now you heard that right, 56. By the time she was in her 80s, she held the Guinness World Record as the oldest competitive female bodybuilder on Earth. Doctors originally told her that muscle building after menopause was genetically unlikely. You may have heard that yourself. They were wrong. Her daily routine, strength training, nutrition, and mindset work reversed every expectation she had. Sound familiar? Fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, mindset. Resting heart rates of a teenager. A cholesterol panel that made physicians do a double take. And energy that left 30-year-olds in the dust. Her genes didn't change. Her lifestyle did. Case study 2, the Finnish twins study. All right, let's jump into some science. The Finnish twins cohort study followed thousands of identical twins, people with the same DNA, over several decades. Their biggest discovery? Lifestyle choices, not genetics, accounted for the major differences in aging. You surprised? I'm certainly not. The twins smoked, sat more, exercised less, or had poor sleep aged faster, developed more disease, and died earlier than their identical sibling. Identical genes, different choices. Vastly different outcomes. Let that sink in. Same code, different results. So if it was in the genes, well, why did the one that changed their lifestyle not get the same result? All right, case study 3. Dr. Jeffrey Life, from dad bod to fitness cover model at 70. Dr. Jeffrey Life, yes, that really is his last name, was overweight, insulin resistant, and heading towards diabetes in his late 50s. He had all the genetic risk factors, family history of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and early death. At 60, he changed everything. He hired a trainer. Hey, that's a good idea. Started resistance training, ate a high-protein, low-glycemic diet, and embraced recovery and hormone support. By 70, he was on the cover of Men's Fitness. He had visible abs, resting blood pressure of an athlete, and normalized insulin levels. Same genes, new outcome, all because of fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, mindset. Case study 4, epigenetic reversal in diabetic patients. In a 2018 study out of UCLA, patients with type 2 diabetes were given an intensive lifestyle program. Nutrition, fitness, and stress reduction. That should sound somewhat familiar. Fitness, activity, stress reductions, mindset, and it's an entire lifestyle program. That would be lifestyle. After 12 weeks, many of these patients showed not only better blood sugar control, but actual epigenetic changes in their DNA expression. Genes related to inflammation were downregulated. protective genes were upregulated. And here's the kicker. These individuals were previously told their disease was genetic and irreversible. Yet, measurable gene expression changed because of, how about that, deliberate action. For those of you that remember my definition of age, things that happen to a body either through spontaneously or through deliberate action. You've heard me argue that nothing on the earth happens spontaneously. And here is proof that deliberate action can change gene expression. Case study 5, the Nun study. Genetics meets purpose here. One of the most fascinating long-term studies on aging and cognition is the Nun study of the University of Kentucky. They followed Catholic nuns over decades. Many of them had the APOE4 gene associated with Alzheimer's, but a large number never developed dementia. Why? Post-mortem brain scans showed plaques typical of Alzheimer's, but no symptoms during life. Their mindset and lifestyle shielded them from their so-called genetic fate. Two neat words, mindset and lifestyle. Changing their mindset, changing their lifestyle, shielded them from their so-called genetic fate. Every single example we just shared has one thing in common. Action changed the outcome. Not a magic pill, not a new DNA sequence. Action, mindset, training, nutrition, activity, fitness, activity, nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, purpose. That's what they changed. If these individuals can overcome what the world told them was a genetic destiny, just think what you can do. And these are just a few examples so far. Let's go on to example case study number 6. Muscle gain at 90. The nursing home surprise. Now, Dr. Kenneth Cooper, my hero, has done a lot of studies with nursing homes, but this is a famous Canadian study. Residents of a nursing home aged 85 to 96 were controlled in a strength training program using light weights and resistance bands. I believe this one was actually the way they were trying to recreate or repeat the same study that Dr. Ken Cooper did. After 10 weeks, participants saw increased muscle mass, faster walking speed, better balance. And here's the punchline. They improved gene expression in muscle cells. Even at 90 years old, their bodies adapted and improved. These weren't elite athletes. They were regular seniors who proved that capability is preserved when challenged. Look at an analogy here. Your genes are a recipe, not a finished dish. If someone hands you a cake recipe and you dump all the ingredients in the oven without mixing or measuring, guess what? You're not getting cake, you're getting a mess. But follow the recipe right. Adjust the temperature, add in your own flavor, and that same recipe can produce something incredible. That is no different than with your genes. What you do with them is what matters. How you stimulate them is what matters. So what does this mean for you? Well, here's the bottom line. You're not a victim of your family tree. So at first and foremost, choose not to be a victim. These stories show that we can defy expectations, break stereotypes, and live with vitality, even when our DNA says otherwise. You're not a passenger on the train of aging. You're driving. And yes, sometimes the tracks are tricky, but you hold the brake and the throttle. Feeling inspired? Well, you really should be. Let these stories remind you you are capable. And if you want to help rediscovering how much your body and mind can still achieve, well, reach out to us. Call us at area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can reach out to me at garrett@personaledgefitness.com, obviously my email address. Check out our website, personaledgefitness.com. A lot of good information on there, some connections to our podcast, and also you can reach out to us there. Follow us at Team PE on X and at Facebook at Personal Edge Fitness. Also, if you like this, and especially if you know somebody that could benefit from this information, please like, follow, and share these podcasts. Now, next time, they're not done with the series yet. Next time on the Personal Edge Fitness podcast, we're going to dive into episode 4. Genetics is a starting line, not a sentence. It's a recap and rally cry because it's time to put the "it's my genes" excuse where it belongs, completely in the rearview mirror. Until then, keep moving. Keep believing, and remember, ability is not dictated by age. It's controlled by fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset. And your future is still being written by you. Just one more way we at Personal Edge Fitness help you reach your level of wellness. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope to see you for episode 4.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.